Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Ordinary Daily version of the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. It is April 1. April Fool's Day, huh? Wow, I should have had something planned. Nah, don't have anything planned. Not going to trick you. So if I tell you that I didn't do my long run on the weekend, maybe you guys would think that it was April Fool's, but it's not. I didn't do my long run. As a matter of fact, the last couple of days, a little strange when it comes to training. Let's see how it goes. I'll give you guys just a quick recap. Friday, I got my swim in, did really well. Used those paddles. Man, those paddles they're for real. Those things are for real. They hurt, but it really makes you strengthen your shoulders, and man, I think they work. So, I'm hoping to keep using those and working it, using them in the workouts. I actually, I got a swimming workout on Friday morning, and I looked at it and it said, oh, you got to use the paddles, and I don't have paddles. So I actually drove to the sports store, bought the paddles, and, man, yeah, I think they work. It was pretty intense, and it was good to kind of feel, the areas of your stroke where the strength really comes into play. And I think maybe mentally it can help you sort of tune in to where you should be pulling and where the strength comes in. Sometimes like things that you won't really know when you're just kind of just off on your own swimming. When you don't train for swimming. I've never trained for swimming. I've never, other than just swim, get in the pool and swim. That's kind of my training. So I've never done sprints. I've never done intervals. I've never done anything like that. And now to kind of do that in a more structured way, that's been helping. And I think really that probably my last good workout was that swim. I tried to do a race on Friday night. Just wasn't feeling it. A bike race on Zwift, and I just wasn't feeling it. I think I just came out of the gate really hard. I thought I was going to have more energy. I pushed about, I don't even know, I guess 4 or 5 miles, and just everything just shut down. It just was like, and I don't know, part of it was like I just don't want to finish. Part of it was I just was in pain, and I can't be doing that anymore. I really got to stop. Anyway, Saturday was supposed to be my long bike ride. It was the nicest day of the weekend, and I decided I was going to take it outside, which it's kind of like, I know for a lot of people, they can't wait to get outside, and they can't wait to get out, to get off of the trainer. And really, I think I've hit that point this year where I'm a little sick of the trainer. I've been on it a lot, working on it a lot. So I was looking forward to getting outside. But for me to take that step and be like, all right, now we're going to start working in the trainer mode a little bit better, a little bit more often. It's a big step. It just signifies like a big change in training. And, but I was excited, and, I went by myself, went down to the trail on, Saturday morning. It was about 45 degrees, 45 to 50 degrees. It was supposed to warm up a little later in the day, but it had been pretty warm a few days in a row, and I'm not talking like 70s. I'm talking about 50s. I got on the bike, and the trail was a little, if those of you guys that are on the group or follow me on Twitter, you'll probably know. The trail wasn't really in great shape. A lot of wet leaves, and I'm riding on a bike. My bike, usually what I do is before I do my first bike ride outdoors, I take the bike into the shop to kind of get a once over. Because, as much as I'm learning over the course of years about my bike and how it works, I'm still not a pro. I'm not an expert. I'm not a technician. I like to bring it in there just to make sure that everything's on tight. The wheels are good, all that stuff. And I hadn't done that yet. So I'm just basically pulling off the trainer after probably 2,000 miles on the trainer and bringing it outdoors. And, I don't have a trainer tire, so who knows? I checked to see if the wheels were bald. It didn't feel that bald to me. In fact, I did bring the bike in later, and the guys were like, yeah, you could ride this for a couple months. It's fine. So they're not awful. But still, wet leaves, a lot of sticks, a lot of mud, stuff that when you're going fast and you're riding through it and you're worried about the tread on your tire, you're not really sure. So I got about 6 miles into my ride and feeling pretty good. It takes a couple minutes. I don't know about you guys, but when it's a little colder out, it takes a couple minutes to sort of acclimate to that cold. For me, I don't know. I want to say it's like 2 or 3 miles I get. And then I'm like, where I finally say to myself, all right, you know what? You're either warmed up. Basically, I'm warmed up and that cold doesn't bother me anymore. The initial cold, like in your face and in your hands, I was wearing gloves. It's kind of annoying, but so I'm in the bike zone. I'm feeling pretty good. To get to the end of the trail from where I started would have been 23 miles. So 23 miles down, 23 miles back. I'm thinking 45 miles, 40. Well, all right. I know the addition's 46. So I'm thinking 45, 46 miles is how much I'm going to do. And I'm happy with that. Like for first ride out, 45 miles would have been great. But I got to like mile 6.5, turned a corner, and there was like this big sort of glacial ice in front of me. And I looked at it, and from a distance, I'm thinking, it's 50 degrees out. It's been 50 degrees out. This can't be ice. It's got to be like slush. And I could see little spots in the ice where it's kind of like bald, and I could see, little spots where I feel like maybe I can break a path through there. And short answer to that was no, I couldn't. And I hit the ice and I started going over it, and I had slowed down a little. I unclicked when I realized it wasn't going to work. I unclicked my right foot from the pedal, and as I did that, I started leaning left, and I hadn't unclicked the left foot, and I just fell over. I cut my knee. It was bleeding all over. I hurt my hand. It was really hard to grip the handlebars, but I looked out and all I could see was ice on this area, like ice around the corner. And so it was frustrating. It was like this trail is just not ready. It's not ready for me to ride it in terms of my tolerance levels of what I can handle. And, I'm bleeding and I'm looking and I'm like, I thought for a second maybe I could walk the bike over the ice. But the bike shoes were like skates. They were not good. So I turned around, kind of walked it back a little bit, licked my wounds, checked them out. It was bloody. It just was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to sit here? It wasn't like it was ambulance worthy. It was just annoying. And, there was pain involved, but it wasn't, put it this way. If this would have happened to you in a race, you would have easily gotten up and just kept going. So got back on the bike and I went back to the car. Got back to it was another 6.5. So now I'm here. I'm at the car. And now I'm at about 12.5, 13 miles into the ride. And I'm going to myself, man, what a defeat this would be. This was supposed to be 45 miles. It turned out to be 13. Like, that's not good enough. This isn't going to get it done. So I had to make a decision. Do I I'm injured. Do I just go to the car, call it a day, or do I just try to ride north and go as many extra miles as I can? It's about 8.5 miles north to the end of the trail. And eventually I decided, let's go north. So we did. And I got about 6.5 miles north before another ice patch came. And, there was just a lot. When I went that direction, there was a lot of just, for me, it's like unsafe. I don't really handle the bike well. So to see like a lot of, just like I said, the wet leaves, the sticks, there was a downed tree. There was a small ice patch that I ran over because I didn't see it till the last second. That scared the hell out of me. Because the first fall, I was going slow. In this fall, I was going pretty fast, and it didn't fall. But in this ice patch, when I crossed over it, I was going pretty fast. And if I would have lost the grip on the road, that would have been really bad. That would have been painful. But I got to this other ice patch, and I just was like, you know what, this is it. I can't deal with this ice. I turned around, went back to the car. Total, I think it was about 27 miles. A little less than 2 hours, but I mean, I stopped to get injured. There was a couple times I stopped, and I think the good thing, I'm trying to take out a positive from this. Number one, in years past, my first ride out has always been like less than 20 miles, something like that. It's because I'm new at the bike, and I just don't know any better. So the fact that I got 27 miles while injured as for my first ride outdoors, I'm going to take that. I'm going to be happy with it. As much as I want to do a lot more, I'm going to be happy with it. And given that I fell and I was able to continue, I'm not saying I don't know, insert courageous athlete here. I'm not saying I'm any, Jack Youngblood playing with a broken leg or anything like that. I'm dating myself. And, it's just, I'm going to be happy with it because I got no other choice at this point. What I was really happy with though was that I don't have a bike computer on my bike, so it's just basically I look down and I see the only data I have is on my watch, and the watch data is very limited. It's like miles per hour, but even miles per hour, I mean it's GPS based, so it's not really fully reliable. But I use it because I got nothing else. So in years past when I ride, whenever I look down, I'm kind of like at cruising speed, and I look down at my watch, I'm going 14, 15, 16 miles an hour. I suck at the bike. You guys know I suck at the bike. Anyway, but that's kind of like the average. Now, I've trained really hard over the winter, and I've upped my FTP by like 30 watts. I've done a lot of work. So it seemed to me every time I was looking down at my watch when I felt like I was cruising, I was like 17, 18 miles an hour. And cruising, I mean not on hills, not uphill, not downhill. Just sort of on flat land where I feel like I'm just at a pace that I can kind of go for a long time. And I'm looking down at the watch, 17, 18 miles an hour, and I'm encouraged by that. I feel like probably, and again, I don't have a computer, so I don't know what my cadence is, but I've been working, in the past, whenever I just jump on the bike, on the trainer, and I see my cadence, I'm like 75 to 80 RPM. And I've been working on the trainer to try to get that up to like 85 to 95. So I think that naturally my cadence is higher. Because I was in the same gear as I was last year, and I'm going faster. Obviously, I lost some weight, so that helps. All these factors go into it. But it felt like when I was kind of at a cruising speed, I was faster than I was in prior years. So I'm going to take that as a positive. Now, hopefully this weather kind of stays warm, and I'm going to be able to get out a couple times. I think this Sunday it's supposed to be nice right now, but obviously we're a long ways away from that, so a forecast will certainly change. But also, once I crashed, I knew I had to bring the bike in, so I went right to the bike store. Hand over my bike, said, told them what was wrong with it, the things that I thought were a little sloppy or whatever, and they're going to give it a once-over. But the problem is that everyone brings their bike in this time of year, so I'm not going to get it back till like Thursday or Friday, which is annoying and frustrating because now I'm looking at my schedule, and sure enough, there are 3 bike rides on my schedule for this week, between now and Thursday. So everything's got to change. Everything's, I'm going to have to add some swimming in there. I'm going to have to do a little more intense running. I missed my long run yesterday. And, yesterday was one of those days where I had to pick Sam up. She had a sleepover. I had to pick her up at 8:30. So I kind of scratched the long run out of my, out of the morning. I figured I'd just do it later. Because I didn't have all day, but I had the evening. The evening was open. What happened was we had to drive 2 hours. So my grandmother, so Ellie's great-grandmother, has never met Ellie. And they were all meeting, my family was meeting for lunch 2 hours away. So basically I had to drive 2 hours to eat lunch and turn around and drive home. And I tell you, it's one of those drives where it's just exhausting. And normally I don't get tired when I drive. But on the way home, I had to actually pull over and go to a Dunkin' Donuts just to get coffee because I really thought like I was nodding off a little bit. So when I got home, I was exhausted. We made dinner. Had dinner at like 6:30, and I kind of knew when I decided I was going to eat dinner at 6:30, I knew that there was going to be a possibility that I would miss the long run. Because then after you eat dinner at 6:30, it's like a 2-hour wait to even think about running. So I'm thinking 8:30 if I run 3 hours, 11:30. Not that I haven't done anything like that before. That's certainly in my wheelhouse, things I do, but I just wasn't feeling it. I was tired. And I just thought to myself, you know what? I think at this point the sleep is more important. So I kind of looked at sort of like I didn't enter all the numbers from this week into my spreadsheet, but preliminarily I think I did about 7 hours of training, which is very weak. But if I do my long run today, that should have been 3 hours yesterday. That would have been 10 hours for the week, which isn't awful. It's not awful. That's sort of par for the course for Ironman training. So. Yeah, today's, it's Monday. Going to do the long run today. So I got like sort of 15 miles circled up, plus or minus 2. I'd like to get outside, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's kind of crappy out. It's about 32 degrees, which isn't awful, but I think it's also potentially raining. And I don't know. I should be getting outside more too. See, my brain is just this is the morning podcast. This is what happens when you roll out of bed and you do a podcast. But what I really have to do is I have to sit down with the calendar from this week. I have to redo it because I don't have my bike, which is going to mean, you know what? I think today's the long run day, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to be swim. It's going to be lift. Well, I probably won't lift every day. It should be yoga every day, and it should be some kind of run or elliptical, something to kind of get the heart rate going. So, that's a preliminary plan. I'm going to have to sit down and actually work out the details a little bit better, but that's a preliminary plan. I got a treat for you guys later this week. Don't ask me how, but we've scheduled Jeff Galloway on the podcast tomorrow. I'll be talking to him tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. I've heard great things about this guy, how nice he is, and obviously, I've used that run-walk interval method a lot when it comes to training and it comes to marathons, especially when it comes to Ironman. I mean, that's kind of how the switch sort of, flipped for me. In terms of walking during marathons, like taking those intervals, it just helped me out so much. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him. I got to be honest, I don't know a lot about him. I know the Galloway method. I know how to, generally how it works. I don't know a lot of the details behind it. I'm sure it's not just run, walk, whatever intervals you want. I'm sure there's more to it, but it'll be good to learn from him, the guy that created it, right? Man, we are getting some really good podcast guests in here. I'm really excited about them. And man, so it's Monday. Let's call it what it is. It's the start of a new week. There's two ways to look at it. You look at it with dread. Oh, it's Monday. Or you look at it as opportunity. I've had a couple of training weeks here that have been a little bit light. My weight hasn't moved. And look at that number there, 118 days to Lake Placid. So I can't really afford to be putting back-to-back poor training weekends in. I gotta work hard at this, And that's one of the things I kept telling myself last night when I was thinking about pushing off my long run is, Ironman ain't easy. It's not easy. Marathons aren't easy. Half marathons, all this stuff, it's not easy. You need to put in the work. And sometimes you got to be tough about it. And for me to get on the treadmill last night at 8:30, that would have been tough. That would have been, mentally tough. That would have been physically challenging. I probably should have done it. But the fact that I didn't, I got to make up for it today. So I'm looking at it as an opportunity. It's Monday. It's a new week. We kind of wipe the slate clean here. We start again. And you know what? If I wind up doing my long run this weekend, so if I do one Monday and I do one Sunday or Saturday, I mean that's gonna put a big punctuation mark on exclamation point. I should say punctuation mark could be anything. That's gonna put a big comma on this weekend. No, but it's gonna put a big exclamation point on this week, and it's gonna start me off. Erase those last 2 weeks kind of in my mind and how they've been a little bit poor. They haven't been awful. They've just been a little poor, a little less than expected, a little weak. But if I can put a really good week in this week, it'll put me right on track, and I'll feel really good about this 118 days. My weight hasn't really moved. It's been right in that kind of 219 to 221 range, and it's not moving. So either I got to focus more on diet, which has been admittedly not perfect. It hasn't been bad. It's been on, I would call it like weight maintenance mode. Like I go to the diner, I ordered a salad. Everyone's ordering burgers and, heavy calorie food. And I'm ordering, grilled chicken salad. I'm probably snacking. I mean, I'm snacking on healthy things, but I'm probably snacking a little too much on them. I haven't been really faithful to the MyFitnessPal and calorie counting. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know when I get to these points where I need to lose the weight, and I know that that's the problem where the calories are too high, I should do something about it. So I should be monitoring my calories. Maybe I'll start that today. I don't know. But I haven't been good with it in the past few weeks. And I've been saying I'm going to do it, and I just don't do it. I think it's a disaster. It's still a disaster down here. I'm still kind of I got all these wires and microphone stands, and I got to get this stuff put away. I can't look, This is like I invite you into my house and I'm making this a disaster. Anyway, all right, listen, guys, go out and attack Monday. Don't look at it as like a harsh day. Don't look at it as like it's Monday, Look at it as an opportunity. Look at it as an opportunity to kind of start fresh. Get those workouts in. What can you do for yourself today, Get those tasks, those mundane tasks that you've been putting off. Get them done. And just remember that every day is an ordinary day. It just takes you to make it extraordinary. So let's get after it this week, guys. Let's get some stuff done.
Remember to like our video and subscribe to our channel.